Hi, Avi.
Hello, Rav Danielle. How are you?
I am excited. I'm really excited because for so many years we've been exploring such deep things and for so long it's felt it's only fair to let other people into the room. So for me, this is an amazing opportunity because of the kind of friendship we've created, the questions that you ask, my sense that you understand me. And that's very, very meaningful to me.
Yeah, and I can say that truthfully, that before I met you, I don't really think I ever heard the kind of Torah that you have presented and I think really trying to bring into this world and into the consciousness of people. So very, very excited.
Yeah. Maybe actually a good way for me to step in is to hear from you what it is that stands out to you so much.
Sure. Okay, so I would say as follows, is that I think that for a large part of my life, let me start on one of the big issues, and we've had many discussions around this. But for a large part of my life, I had moved my thinking about the place of man in this world and what Torah demands of us into very much a place of dut, a place where a person is mivatel himself and really is supposed to do Ratzon Hashem neto, but with a missing component of who he is and the uniqueness of what he is. And I think that that was probably one of the first things that really drew me to you as an alternate vision of that. And I think the components that go into that are one being very much this idea of the world just being a corridor to the world to come. And you're, again, an alternate vision of no, this world is precious. There is importance. There is reason why we were here, and it's not just as preparation for something else. There's value, and then a true understanding of ahava and yirah. So a world that is infused with ahava and what that really means. And I think that these were the ideas that really drew me to you, and which I would love to explore more in our conversations, and which I really think that the world would like to hear more about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, it's really touching to hear you reflect back what's been of value to you. I
Sure.
don't know if we've ever really had that conversation. And yeah, and I think the best for us and for everyone who's going to be sharing this with us is in a way to start from the beginning
Right.
of what it is to be a human being in this world, what it is that we are created to fulfill, to manifest, how it is that our uniqueness, our special gifts are so precious to the one who created us. What does it mean to be living a life that's a fulfilled life? What does that look like? And from there, I would to very much to explore the nature of love and relationship, how that works between people, how that works between us and God, what it is to be in a life of covenant, both in human community, the community beyond the Jewish community, the community of a world that's other human beings, that's this planet, that's this cosmos. Where does that all fit in? And especially touching for me, I think, is going to be for us to explore just the nature of our creativity. I think that's just a basic in terms of what people can come to understand about themselves and what we're here to do.
So that's all we're going to do. Just
Exactly. And that'll
we're
keep
going to
us
answer all
busy.
the questions.
That'll keep us busy for the next 10 years. And then we'll see what technology will allow for then.
Right.
Maybe we'll be able to project ourselves into people's living rooms by that point. And okay, fantastic. So let's get rolling.
Yeah. I remember, just to get you started, I
Yeah.
remember one of our conversations when we were learning, and you presented this image, which we all know about, but you presented it really in a very beautiful way of the Keruvim. And the Keruvim as being a central pillar, and what that says about our relationship with God as being really a very central pillar of your view of what this world is about, what our relationship with Hashem is supposed to
Wow.
be.
Wow. Wow. What an amazing invitation to explore that. And I want to say that right now we're talking during the period of the year when there's so much that has to do with this, and we'll get there in a minute, or probably more 30 minutes. Okay. So yeah, the Keruvim is a super central image from the very beginning of creation, really, because when man left the Garden of Eden, and by the way, I'm going to be trying to remember to translate Hebrew terms into English also, so that everyone can feel part of this, no matter what their level is. Yeah. So the first thing that happens to humanity when humanity enters into history, which is really the leaving of the Garden of Eden. So the first place which they need to traverse is a path, which is guarded by the two cherubs, by the two Keruvim. And the Torah describes that guardianship of theirs as being these two Keruvim who hold swords. And the swords, it says, are spinning, flipping around, turning over as a chechet, an incredible term, which literally means the blade of the sword that is flipping over. Why does it have to be that way? Why can't they just be standing as sentries, And why do there need to be two? For me, just to see one spiritual entity that with the sword is enough. It doesn't have to be flipping. I get the message. Okay, I understand. I'm not welcome here, right? So clearly there's something about the duality, which is very curious. The fact that it's mithapechet, which means that it's flipping over, that it's called lahav, which both is used in Hebrew for the sword blade, but also as a flame.
Sure.
A flame. So these are flaming swords of the cherubs. That's already getting more interesting. That are flipping over, and that there are two of them. So, and that they're guarding the path to the tree of life. And obviously, Avi, we were going to have to make serious introspection about what happened, that's the human situation. But I think it's fantastic to start from this place of the two Keruvim, also because that becomes the central pillar of a life of humanity. Because in the Holy of Holies in the temple, which according to our traditions is the place that the planet began to put it in geological terms, the planet began to aggregate. There was some place where the stone that we're flying through the universe began, and as a stone, as a small stone, it began to aggregate with ever-increasing materials. And that first stone, that first aggregation of matter, was the stone which is there on the top of what is called the Temple Mount, or the mountain of the homes of God, or the mountain of the place where man and God come together. Okay, but whatever we're going to call that place, it's a place in Jerusalem where everything really began to expand from. And on that place, there is supposed to be a small box with the two pieces of stone that Moshe came down from Mount Sinai with, and on top of it are these two Keruvim. Now, there's no way that these two Keruvim sitting at the center of the world's beginning point, and the two Keruvim that are standing at the entryway to the Garden of Eden are two distinct images. Obviously, the one in Jerusalem is a reflection of the one which is described at the very beginning of creation.
Right.
So this is already an important point. Somehow, that beginning point is truly the beginning point. And so I just want to confirm, right, that this is a good place to begin, because somehow that's supposed to reflect what it means to be alive in this world, what it means to be alive as a human being, what it means to be alive in a world in which we're yearning for something. We're yearning to get to this tree of life. And I think there are few things that if you really ask yourself, you just place your hand on your heart and allow yourself to quiet down and just start beginning with what do I want, So you might begin with I want a family. Okay, beautiful. And if you have a family, when you have a family, what do you want more? That's even more important to you than a family. And might go, I want love. Okay, beautiful. Okay, let's say you have love completely. You have love completely there for you. And what do you want that's even more important? So for me and for many people, the next word that's going to come out of my lips is life. Life. And this yearning for life that we have, which is quite extraordinary given that usually when people follow a path of contemplative movement, that with their hand on their heart and quieting down, kind of I go there relatively easily, but I've worked with many people and they almost always end up there. That's a very telling thing, because what it's saying is, even though I know I'm alive, I'm yearning for life. So already we have a certain dichotomization in our mind, a delineation between being alive and life.
Life. Yeah.
And I think we all recognize that yeah, I can make a living, I can stay alive. I'm surviving. I'm alive, man. I'm alive. I'm still alive. Thank God I'm still alive. But even when you say that, but I'm really looking for life, which is a larger term.
So what do we mean by that when we say that?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that representing? What is that expressing?
Yeah. What is that expressing? It's expressing, I believe, the following, and this needs to be part of a bigger exploration. But right now, it's, I believe, a sense of I am fulfilled. I have fully manifest what I have come to this creation to become. I am. I truly am. Not being, not doing. I am. Right. And I can look at myself and say, this is indeed the fullness of the manifestation of what I have come into this creation with. And I'm now touching life. I'm now touching life, right? When it's not just about surviving, and nor is it about getting things done. It's about being in the fullness of what life is. And yeah, we need to give those names.
Right.
Yeah. I want to say that Moshe actually gives those names. He actually gives those names. And one of the most astounding passages in the Torah, really one of the most astounding passages in the Torah that deserves the attention we're about to give it. And just to remind us, we will get back to those Keruvim who are guarding the path to the tree of life. So we understand that the Torah begins man's history, the human history outside of the mythic Garden of Eden, with his passing past these two Keruvim who are guarding the path to the tree of life. And the Torah almost completely ends with Moshe saying to the Jewish people, I am placing in front of you now, placing it in front of you, and I am bearing witness. Meaning I am fully conscious of this. It's important to know that bearing witness shouldn't conjure up a courtroom. It should conjure up the full consciousness, as the very letters in the word aid indicate, edut and dap, to come together. I am raising your consciousness to know the following, that you have before you the choice between life and death, Bachayim and Mavet. Uvacharta Bachayim. Choose life. Choose life. Choose life. And for anyone who read the entire Chumash, the entire Pentateuch, the entire Torah up until that point, knows that Moshe uses that word very, very rarely about human activity. In fact, it's the first time when he uses it saying in the second person to you, there's something for you to choose. Up until now, he's told us a lot of things. Listen, if you do this, it's going to be great. The rain's going to come and the animals will eat and there'll be plenty of a flourishing planet. And if you do this, it's going to be really bad and you're going to get in trouble and bad news. There he was talking to us about living, staying alive. You want to stay alive, man? You follow God's will. You violate his will, he will not keep you alive. It's going to be bad news for you, right? That's the way he's been talking about staying alive up until now. He never told you to choose anything. He never told you to choose anything. He never said, choose doing God's commandments, choose living his purposes, choose doing his mitzvot. He never says choose it. He just says, do it. Don't try, do. But then at the end of his life, and this is literally the day before he dies, literally the day before he dies, he says, choose life, which is so fantastically brilliant in bringing out the contrast. This is not about staying alive. This is about choosing life, which has nothing to do with the fact that I'm about to leave this world. Choosing life has nothing to do with longevity, how many days you have, how many hours, how many minutes you have. That has nothing to do with choosing life. That has to do with choosing living. Get on that respirator, man, and live. But that has nothing to do with choosing life. And these actually become serious issues in my mind about many subjects which we could explore about life expectancy and life lengthening in artificial means. Choosing life, let's go back to the point, Moshe waits until this practically final moment and uses the word Uvacharta, choose life. And then he says, I'll tell you why. Tell you why. Leman tichyeh. So that you will really live. So that you will really live. Really live. So that when you are living, it will be full living. Because you have chosen life, as opposed to all the other stuff we do that keeps us alive, but doesn't really give us life. And then he actually enumerates 3 things, which can be fantastic for us to explore together as we move forward. Amazing. It's amazing. He says to love God, to come to truly love God, which always involves, as we're going to explore deeply when we get into the nature of love, being fully conscious of God, knowing him as profoundly as a human being can know, as always knowing and loving come together, knowing in the full heart sense. Come to love God, la'ahavat Hashem, lishmoa b'kolo, to truly listen to him, to his voice, not to his mitzvot, not to his commandments, not even to his words, to his voice. Listen to his voice. Listen to his voice. And l'davka bo, to be in true intimacy with him. So he defines for us what it means to be in life. It means to be filled with love. It's to be very acutely attentive and responsive to the message, to the presence that is speaking to you, that is guiding you, that is seeking dialogue with you, and to be in profound intimacy, which is something beyond those first 2, which define for us what it means to choose life.
So we're not talking about reward and punishment. We're not talking about consequence. We're talking about what is life supposed to look like?
Yeah,
what is
man.
it supposed to be?
Yeah, that is exactly right. Yeah. And it's almost as if the questions of reward and punishment are forgotten there.
Right,
That's
they fall away at that point.
They fall away at that point. Because reward and punishment and bad and good are not the tree of life. They are the tree of knowing or distinguishing, which is the more literal translation there, being cognizant of good and bad. It's not even good and evil, it's good and bad. Good and bad gives it over better. It's what's going to be good for you, it's going to rain and you'll have peace. What's going to be bad for you, it's not going to rain and you're going to starve. Okay, that is the tree of living. It's not the tree of life. And that, oh man, that is, we go out into the world. All of us are born into this life. And at the beginning, in this very, very innocent way, we actually are kind of living life. It's what it is to be a baby, living life. Life. It's just, it's all very, very nascent, all very, very undeveloped. It's It's not where we're meant to stay at all. But you can get a little picture of what it means to be in direct contact with life. And then there's just nothing but the energies of existence that are flowing through me, that are pumping their creative powers through my being, and by which I am experiencing a deep love for that incredible opportunity, which is to be here and be in contact with that in that direct way, right? And it's start listening and being aware of and experiencing that profound intimacy with that. And as the child, maybe that's what it's in utero, but as you come out, man, and you get that first slap, you're beginning to enter into the world of pleasure and lack of pleasure, right? Pain and pleasure, and what's good for me and what's bad for me, and what I don't, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's just about living, really. It's what's going to make this good for me, as opposed to what's going to put me into the most profound contact with life itself. And we spend most of our time there. We really do.
Right.
We really do. I think we're psychologically constructed that way ever since we ate from that tree, whatever it means in the mythic terminology of it. But we left the Garden of Eden. We were kind of shown this fading image. There is this tree of life. There is this tree of life. And at the end of the Torah, Moshe is going to say, this is what their path is towards. But along that way, every step you take, and here's what I want to say about those two Keruvim. Every step you take, man, there are these two Keruvim that are guarding the way to the tree of life. You see, it's the wrong image that they're there at the entrance to the Garden of Eden, blocking your way in. I said before, for that it would just take one of these with one sword and
a do not enter sign.
yeah, for those who don't get the message fast enough, right? For those who get close enough to read the sign. Right? No way, man. You don't need two of these things. You do not need two of them. They are, the rabbis describe them. Okay, in any case, so what is the two? What is going on with the two? What is going on with the two? And I think the secret is in understanding what it means that they are guarding the way to the tree of life. Guarding doesn't mean that they are stopping you from getting there. Guarding, it means that they're protecting it. They're protecting it. And my friend, the only way to protect it is by spinning you around all the time. You are going to be spun, turned over and over. And the question is going to be, how passionate will you remain? How passionate can you remain in a life where it's just disappointments and brokenheartedness and falling down and having to get up again and being flipped over and flipped over and flipped over endless times, where the constant refrain is, I tried and it didn't work out, and I tried and it was successful, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, or this is great, and the next morning it's, why don't I feel fulfilled? What continues to drive me? What continues to drive me? Those two Keruvim. They continue to drive you. They are driving you. And that's why Keruv is the same letters as Merkava, which is the chariot. It's the chariot. It's the same letters of Baruch, which means a blessing, which is an unending, expanding and growing. And the most troubling one, the literal meaning of the word Keruv is actually complexity, right? It's Murkav. Another shift in the letters, but it's Murkav, man. This is complex. The complexity is that flipping over all the time, having to reinvent yourself, recreate yourself all the time. And if you get tired, so don't worry, you're going to get burned. There's a lot. That's what's going on. And the complexity is reflected in the fact that our world has two, literally two, which, by the way, every letter in the word Keruv, right? Kaf is 20, Resh is 200, Vet is 2. This is it, baby. You are in a world of duality. So there are two of us. And those two of us are creating these polarities between male and female, between light and darkness, between up and down, between life and death, between blindness and sight, between every single thing which we meet, we meet with its shadow, we meet with its other side, we meet with its alternative, and that's what keeps things always flipping around, growing, expanding, and becoming more with this drive, which has as its root. I tried to give a demonstration before and invite everyone to just do that practice of, okay, what I want is this. But if I have that, fully and truly have that, what I want more is, and I invite everyone, and for you in a quiet moment to follow that path, because that's actually what is driving you in your life. Life. I want life. I desire life. And Moses gave us the so to speak, the formula of the breakdown into these three poles, which we'll really explore them because they are super important. But you can already hear the side of love and expansiveness and growth, the side of clarity, delineation, and distinction, and the side of intimacy, which manages so powerfully to integrate both those in what it means to really have life.
So it sounds, I guess what we're saying is, at least in this formulation, is that in humanity as it exists today, the great enemy is this tendency to not pursue life and not just be comfortable with what is. And all of this is built around making sure that never happens, that we can never become complacent, that we can never just accept what is, but that we're constantly moving forward, striving, growing. Is that a...
No question that is one of the most primary and primal antitheses of what we've been talking about, of just kind of trying to, as the rabbis talk about Jacob, Bikesh le'shev b'shalva. He just wanted serenity. Oh man. So as soon as Jacob wanted serenity, Vayeshev Yaakov, that he sat in serenity, as the rabbis say, all of the troubles of Joseph pounced upon him, right? Because no, that's not what this world is.
Sure.
But the beautiful thing is, which we want to explore, is, okay, I get that that's the structure. It's the structure of my psyche. It's the structure really ultimately of history. It's the structure of our sociology. It's the structure of our desire to learn, to expand, to grow, to create, etc. All of these things. And yes, one very, very, the most simple and radically obvious antithesis to that is the complacency or the insistence on just living,
surviving.
Yeah, making a go of it, right? As opposed to making it go. But there are other issues, and I think humanity is facing other issues right now also, right? Which are this fascinating phenomenon that we are watching, that we seem to be at the center of the storm of a humanity that has lost hope in touching the very root source. I'd love to find a word for the makor ha'ma'ayan, the source of the life which is flowing through, which is how I contact the divine and speak of the divine. And a humanity that has lost that sense that there is such a thing. And when humanity began to lose its religious, what's called beliefs, we're going to explore a lot about the nature of belief and contact with the divine and why it's not about faith and belief, it's about knowing and living. But when humanity began to lose its faith in God, we'll just say it in the simplest language right now. So I remember reading Dostoevsky and the others who were coping with what will become of man's morality. And will there be an inner conscience which will be able to guide us through this mess of having lost the higher authority, right? Of course, thinking almost exclusively in terms of the tree of good and evil, right? What will guard man from becoming evil, right? And now that religion has been defunct, right? debunked, excuse me, maybe both.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think something fascinating we're seeing now, and this is how I understand, is the emergence of causes, moral causes. Moral causes. Let's go for global warming. You remember global warming?
Global warming, global cooling, the hockey stick. Yeah.
Right. Right. I'm not going to, I don't want to be facetious
Right.
about it
Sure.
because it was truly passionate. Then people apparently began to understand. I'm sorry, I'm not that well informed, but it's not really global warming. Is climate change. And I just watched it. Oh, okay. But people don't seem to be as passionate about climate change as they were about global warming. Something happened. What shifted was, I'll make it pertinent because we are living and we're sitting here in the land of Israel. It shifted into Gaza.
Hmm. So why is that? What's
Because
the connection there?
the connection is that in a godless world, humanity continues to seek life
Right.
and understands that somehow to be connected to some unassailable life force is its greatest realization. Now, when unassailable life forces become moral positions, and I'm fully alive, what I'm passionate about,
That
and
passion.
and you
Yeah.
that the lot, that passion of the swords of the cherubs, people seek passion, and they truly seek a passion for life. They truly seek a passion for life. But what the more insidious danger of the passive and the more insidious antithesis than laziness or apathy is passion for something which causes you to not listen, in a sense, not love, not really seek intimacy, not truly be seeking life at its source and origin, which has all those things, but rather an unassailable moral position, right? Which has its own language and context for defining itself and becomes impermeable.
Right.
It really becomes impermeable.
And
Now,
what does that give to the person
it,
when they feel that?
it,
What is it?
it
What's happening?
what's happening is they are in touch in their experience. They're in touch with life. They're in touch with what really matters. And in being in touch with what really matters puts me in touch with value and worth. And that's it. So I am now, I'm fully alive, but when I'm on fire about that, and I will not let you say anything other. And it becomes completely, not only impermeable, but it just becomes fanatical. It becomes,
It's less about the issue and more about a person's identity and where they find meaning in life.
yeah, and where they find life.
And where they're finding
they
life
feel that
itself.
experience of the passion,
Right.
passion. And I get it. And I'm not saying this to belittle, but I also understand, as someone who's right now kind of at the center of the storm, as a Jew and is living in Israel and Gaza, is, oh my gosh, it's on the one hand, is there anyone to talk to? Can we offer no, I don't think there's anyone to talk to. But also, and here's in a way something which I think is truly going to be fascinating. What happened to global warming? What will happen to this?
Yeah, and it's already happening. I think we're already.
It's like,
yeah.
Is that so? I don't know.
Starting.
I turned off my YouTube.
Yeah.
I really, thank God. I'm really not up
Right.
on it. So excuse me if I'm already
Yeah.
out of date because it's been 2 weeks. It will begin to peter out because people aren't really in the issue. They're in the passion. And passion has a way of dissolving.
And we're not talking against passion. It's a certain kind of passion. Right?
Yeah. No, we are talking only in favor of passion. Lahat, but it's a cutting sword.
Right.
And it's dangerous.
Right.
It's dangerous. It's also a sharp sword, but it is elemental to our lives.
Right. Yeah. And just to bring it back to what you were saying. So as faith or belief starts to dissolve in this world, people just have a tendency, they have a need to hold on to something.
Yeah.
that is going to make them feel alive again.
Yeah.
And so, but I just want to point out that that means that our connection to the Creator, our practice of religion is supposed to do that as well, clearly, right? And it's supposed to enliven us, and it's supposed to bring passion to our lives. It's supposed to be who we are, and certainly not a set of imposed practices or values that you feel. That just brings us back to the beginning, where I came in when I first met you in a very avdut and a service-oriented type of religious practice, and would love to hear how that plays out in this thinking. So
fantastic.
Yeah. I just want to, I don't know if you want to just end with an image that I love of those Keruvim on the Chagim, when the Kohanim, if I remember correctly, would open up those doors and show the people the Keruvim embracing. Just, that's always a powerful image to me. And I guess it means a lot of things on a lot of different levels, but is there any way to fit that into what we've been talking about? Or
so much, so perfectly, because that beginning point is in the Garden of Eden.
Right.
And the end point that we're looking towards is the embracing of these opposites, the embracing of everything which is other to, including God and man.
Right.
And that's how the rabbis interpret the vision there that they're seeing in watching them embrace. Of course, they were having something of a spiritual vision, because physically speaking, the Keruvim stand across from each other. But they would experience somehow this perfection of unification. And that is the point when we are truly in full life, right, with the one who is full life. And what the rabbis would say about that is that this is when people would discover not only how precious they are, but they would discover the true experience of love itself. And that's the end point.
Wow. So I guess that'll be something for us to explore.
We're on that path.
We're on the path
right now. And yeah, the Keruvim are around all the time. Okay.
Thank you, Rav Daniel.
A pleasure, a real joy.